All right, Scott, week 2 games now. Let's talk about it. A lot of great games. I want you to take first dibs. What games do you like?
Well, there's two of them that stick out in my mind, but we'll start with the first one because it's another top 10 showdown in the American division, which is just an absolute gauntlet. You got Rumson taking on Donovan Catholic. And don't forget, these two teams last year were part of that triangle with RBC for the number one ranking in the Shore,
Yep.
where one beat the other. So Donovan Catholic coming off a lopsided win over Lacey. Rumson just saw Tom's River North, hard fought game. That to me that's a huge separation game in this American division race. Right off the bat, and you have two good quarterbacks. I mean, playmakers all over the field, like crazy. I'm interested to see, did was playing Tom's River North, did that hurt Rumson because it was a physical, hard nosed game, or did it help them because they just saw a really quality opponent? Whereas Donovan Catholic had a big edge over their first opponent. I mean, how do you see that game?
Well, Tom River North did scrimmage Donovan Catholic too. So Donovan Catholic did all right the next week too with that too. I'm interested to see how Rumson is going to take last week's game and bounce back to week 2. They're a different team. Their program tradition never graduates. I know we always say that and all that, but different guys are out there. And I think they hung tough against a good North team, which a lot of teams ain't going to be able to say that this year. It was 40-27. It was kind of a back and forth game after a certain point, but there was the 2 touchdown difference. Donovan Catholic has some young, exciting playmakers too. Michael Thomas the third. I like Lambertson had a great game throwing the ball to Michael Thomas the third. He threw for I think 170 plus yards. This is a true test. How's Donovan Catholic going to be looked at after week 2?
Right. Yeah, and I think and for the division title, you got RBC, our number one team in there. You got to consider them at least, the favorite so far. But this is that sort of separation game of who's going to step up and be one of the main challengers to RBC. And don't forget, though, this division is so ruthless that one loss might not mean you're out of the division. I mean, anybody in this division can beat each other. So, even the loser, you can't feel like, oh, forget it, we have no shot now. I mean, these teams might just beat each other up for the next couple of weeks. But that's one game. And then to me, the huge game going on down in Point Pleasant Borough. Two old rivals. Manasquan has not played yet this year, so it's our first look at them. But Manasquan, Point Borough, who were Thanksgiving rivals back in the 70s and, have maintained a good rivalry all these years. That, to me, is a monster game. And if you're looking for, like, high level, like, small school football, amazing atmosphere, fans roaring from beginning to end, like, huge crowd at a tiny, packed into that tiny area. Like, I think the atmosphere, I think, of this game is going to be amazing, not to mention the actual football on the field.
Both teams have state championships on their mind too. Point Borough won
Right.
the state championship last year, state sectional championship, but they didn't beat their hometown rival, and that's something that they need to do in their bucket list.
And in that independence division, you got to feel like the winner of this game is the clear favorite to finish it off and win it. Like the team that emerges from this is taking a huge step towards winning a division championship. And I know these teams have even higher aspirations than that. But to get a division title potentially at the expense of your rival, but I mean, and two great quarterbacks in this game too.
Yeah, but when this game was put on the schedule, everybody circled it. It didn't matter if it was week 1, 2, 7, 8. They had it circled. Manasquan, Point Borough, 2 elite football teams for Group 2 schools going at it right in Ocean County. That's an awesome game. Awesome game.
Yeah, and just, I mean, think of all the fireworks that could be happening on the field offensively in a game like this, given the backfield of both of these teams, the two of the better quarterbacks in the Shore Conference. Like this, that's not just the atmosphere. I think it could be a really exciting game as far as 50-yard touchdown one way, 60-yard touchdown the other way, like kind of like a buckle up. You're at the beginning and just hold on to see if you can make it to the end. Yeah, I mean, two quality defenses. Yeah. Point Borough is coming off a shutout defensively, so. But when you think of these teams, you think of their offensive headliners.
I think of their O-line too. Manasquan, Point Borough, the last couple of years have been incredible up front. Everybody looks at the football, but if you look at Skinner coming down on midline and Veer or Mamari or Gilmore, and Manasquan, they're opening holes for Howard and Croce and all those guys. It's going to be a physical football game. Yes, there'll be a lot of star power in the backfield, but up front, that's where I think the game's going to be won. I'm really curious how
Well,
it
and
goes.
an interesting kind of disparity. Obviously, we know Manasquan has always loved to run the ball, but with Patton, they can hurt you deep downfield. I mean, he can really sling it. So that is a contrast to Burrow, which is they grind you a little bit with that triple. Although this year they have so many athletes, they can hit you with big plays. But in other words, they want to sit on the ball,
Yeah.
run down the clock, like grind down your defense. Whereas Manasquan can hit you with quick strikes in addition to their usual, power running.
Cole Kazanowski? He graduated. Who's going to be their go-to guy as a receiver? Is it going to be Howard? Kozlowski. Is it going to be Howard? Is he going to have to motion Coach Sell? Is he going to be motion him out, put him at receiver, put him at running back? Is he going to be doing all these things? I don't know, but I don't know who their playmaker. I think they're going to have to screen Point Burrow, and who's their screen guy. So we're going to find out this weekend. We are.
Plus, does it help or hurt when you have that first week bye? They've had tons of time to prepare for Point Burrow. They got to watch Point Burrow last week in person. Does that help or does that hurt them? Because, this isn't the kind of game where you want to be like working out the kinks and easing into the season because you might be down 14-0 or something as if you make a couple mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think, in other words, I thought that was a tough situation for Rumson last week against Tom's River North. They're breaking in an entirely new offensive line against a veteran physical group. How's Manasquan? Are they going to be able to come out of the gate fast in a game where, it's going to be a highly charged atmosphere?
Well, all those answers will all those questions will be answered in a couple days, and I'm excited. We're going to both be there probably for that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's one you just don't really want to miss. The only thing is, I feel like you're going to have to get there so far early that it's like you're getting a Wawa sandwich at like 4 p.m. and just sitting there just so you get a parking spot in time.
Yeah. How about Middletown South, number 3 versus number 5, Manalapan? That's a big game itself.
Yeah, another American Division throwdown. And these teams, both physical, defensive, rugged teams, in recent years, their games have been very low scoring, defensive slugfests. So we'll see if that holds true again. But given the way Manalapan's defense has played the first couple of weeks, they haven't given up more than 7 points in a game. South gave up 13 and a half and then got a second half shutout against Long Branch last week and has one of the best linebackers in the Shore and Colin Gallagher. I'll be interested to see which, running game will be able to assert itself because both D lines on both sides are very good. So will somebody be able to establish the run in this game, or is it really just going to come down to their quarterbacks hitting a big play here or there? And this is a good game too, where field position is usually huge in these games because both defenses are so good.
Yep.
And special teams are quality. That field position to me could be a real big difference in this game. If somebody gets the team to punt from its own end zone and it only has to drive 40 yards for a touchdown, that could be the difference in this game.
I was just so impressed with Middletown South not panicking 13-0 on the road. 2 consecutive drives, they've given up touchdowns, and after that they just started wearing them out.
This is a game where we talked a lot about Manalapan special teams. Like a Michael Colton, a good kicker, could be the difference in this type of game. If you can line somebody up and make a 38-yard field goal and win the game 13-7 and something like that, like get that little bit of separation, that could be a big difference in a game like this. But I think Middletown South, I think they think their offense is better than it was last year, and they'll be eager to try to prove that against a team that defensively has looked excellent. So
they got nice sized skill kids, Middletown South. Their receivers are nice sized kids. They're a physical team on the perimeter. 2 good football teams, 2 good football programs, fighting it out in the American Division. A lot of good football there. A lot of good football in Monmouth County. How about this one? RBC 1 versus Wall 9. Now, RBC played 2 games. Wall is now playing their first game. You want to talk about having a little advantage. So RBC is playing their 3rd game before Wall plays their first game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know that a lot of coaches, they call it the dreaded first week bye for a reason. Most coaches hate it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be out there getting reps in like everybody else. And especially now that you're starting the season with the number one team in the short. Like the margin for
Right.
error is very small. You can't just we threw an interception here or we fumbled here and we couldn't really get it. Like that could mean you're in a deep hole by that point. So I think that it's just interesting because this is a whole new era at Wall, right? We have new coach Ed Guerreri, came over after he had stepped down, retired. Edmund Alpin came out to coach this Wall team in the wake of the hazing scandal last year. They're trying to put all that behind them. They had their season curtailed at the end of the year because of that. They graduated a ton of players. So I just think this is an interesting situation of they're kind of an unknown. And the only thing I would say too yes, RBC has played 2 games, but their starters have not played into the fourth quarter of either of those games.
No, you're right. You're right.
So, I mean, I think Wall's feeling is if we can take them deep into this game, who knows what could happen because they haven't had to, they routed Freehold, Burrow, and really only played a half in that game, really played only a half against St. John Vianney. So I think Wall's aim is to get them hang around into the fourth quarter and see like, hey, are these guys in shape? Are they ready to stay with us? Because like they haven't really had that game where they've been tested that deep into the game yet.
Well, we both know Ed Guerreri. I mean, we know, first of all, he's not a finesse guy. He's a punch you in the face type of dude. He's going to run power. He's going to run ISO. He's got Langworthy at center, Sasso, and this guy, Chris Rogers, as a tackle. Big 6'4", 315 pounds. So they got 3 dudes up front. I'm going to be very curious to see. Again, it's all matchups. Can these 3 guys pound Red Bank Catholic, keep the ball out of their hands, and kind of make it a very interesting football game?
Well, and also, can they pressure Frankie Williams? I mean, he's been almost flawless, the RBC sophomore quarterback, these first couple weeks.
Right.
So he hasn't really been under pressure or had to, make plays in a close game. And again, they have Sabino Portello and Torman Harmon in the backfield. So, those guys will help a lot as far as keeping the defense off you at quarterback. But, if it's a close game and it's late, is he going to step up and make these plays? He looked phenomenal so far. But, again, how will it look if they can get some pressure on him and he has to make plays under duress rather than playing with, multiple touchdown lead? That's kind of the next evolution of a player who so far has looked excellent.
Yeah, that would be one. Now, how about Jackson 11 versus Howell 16? It's early, but this could be for the division championship when we look at it.
Yeah, that's a huge Constitution division game that really evolved. I think after Howell beats, who was pretty well regarded with Chase Gumbrecht, like that opened some eyes. And then Jackson Memorial beats Brick Memorial, who brought back Connor Dietz and had a lot of high expectations themselves. So to me, this is a huge early separation game, and I would think that Marlboro will be keeping an eye on the film of this game too, because in their minds that's probably another they're like another team they feel like can challenge for this. But no, I mean Jackson's offense looked great in the first game, and whereas Howell, you saw them. I mean, were they consistently moving the ball or grinded out? I mean, they had 20 points, but
no, they weren't.
How will the Howell offense stack up against the Jackson Memorial?
Howell's not the same offense they were last year. Their defense got better. Their defense, I thought they played very physical, but they weren't very crisp offensively. They made some plays at the end of the game, in crucial moments, but they couldn't sustain any drives. A turnover, play action pass, let's get the football, throw it deep, interception, just ruin the drive, stuff like that. So, listen, both teams had losing records last year. Both teams were better than their records were last year. One of these teams will be 2-0. One of these teams will be 1-1, which would be a big separation early in that division. So I'm real curious.
I think that division is top heavy. That there's really a few teams that you would consider the top contenders, and these are 2 of them. So I think Jackson Memorial, if they can get a win here, that would put them really in the driver's seat. And Howell, I think, would really open some people's eyes because I think people look at the Jackson Memorial win over Brick Memorial as maybe a little bit better than Howell's win over Central, also because Gumbrecht got hurt. Whereas Howell, I think, would show people, last week was no fluke. We're a good team and we're a championship level team. And not only that, these are 2 neighboring towns. This is a good rivalry, even though it's technically 2 different counties. The towns are right near each other. So, that should be a good atmosphere too.
One thing I'm going to promise you, it will be that there'll be a big crowd at Howell, especially after a first win last week. Any other games that you like to talk about?
Yeah, I think Central Middletown North, just because what's the status of Chase Gumbrecht for Central?
I don't know, but the trainer knows, and that's going to be pending on a good season or not. Central losing Gumbrit. Yeah. My other concern is how does Long Branch bounce back against a Lacey football team? They were in control of the football game in the first 2 quarters and then lost it at home, an emotional game. Do they bounce back? And if they do, maybe they are legit, Long Branch.
And another quick one, Tom's River South coming off that last second thriller. Can they get off to a 2-0 start beating a brick team that just lost to Auburn?
Oh, throw out the record, throw out what year it is, just bands on both sides, going crazy. The fans, that's a great traditional rival game. I love that. I love the old A South.
And how about Asbury Park? You want to talk about unknowns? We just talked they forfeit. They're playing Keyport. What's going to happen? Will they be there? Are they going to play? Like, is everything going to be okay? I think that's just a game to keep an eye on.
I'm hoping for the kids, but I'm wondering who you're going to pick in that game because if they do forfeit, it counts against your record too. I just want you to know that.
You'll just try any means to try to stop me in those picks,
Coach. A little game down in Southern Ocean County, Pinelands and Barnegat. Pinelands has never been 2-0 since 2010, and Barnegat last time going 0-2 was 2011. So there's a lot of historical stuff going on there. Two good teams. Pinelands is drastically improved. Barnegat wants to show that they're going to be good this year. That place is going to be packed with John Germano. As the AD, we'll have that place going there. So it'll be a good.
One other, two schools right near each other in the same exact town, St. John Vianney at Homedale. Vianney coming off the big win over Colts Neck. Homedale trying to get in the win column after losing to Ocean. That's a good little intra-town rivalry game.
Yes, that would be great. And also, I hope you like high-scoring offenses because Pierce Olson and Connor Dietz, Brick Memorial, Red Bank. I think this is going to be a big scoring game right here with a lot of athletes ready. Somebody's going to be 1-1 and get right back into the driver's seat for hopefully winning a division championship.